Recently, I did a passport photograph and I enjoyed that session, and I created a very wonderful and beautiful image. Today is all about edit tutorial, and I'll be taking you guys through how I edited this image from Capture One to Photoshop, and I want you guys to follow along with me. This is not going to be long. I'll just show you my steps and we'll be able to see the final edited images. If you like content like this, please don't forget to smash that like button. Without any further ado, let's get down into Capture One. Hello guys, you guys are welcome to this section. So I will be showing you guys how I edited this particular image. So a quick note, this is not the international passport photos because you have to be actually facing the camera like this, but I took this as a test shot just before that shot, and I knew that I wanted to do a review like this to edit the images. However, I will show you the international passport at the end once I finish editing this particular image. Now this is the original image right here that I took. Like I said, it was a test shot, and we are in Capture One. I imported the images to Capture One, and here we are in Capture One. And I made a few adjustments that you guys can see that the Kelvin here was 5712, but when I got to the one I made adjustment, you guys can see that it has reduced. Also, the highlight has reduced. I think those are the basic things that I majorly changed in this when it comes to the Capture One. You guys can see my settings down here that I use for this particular shot, and I use the same setting for all the images, including one I took for the international passport as well. So now the next thing we'll do is I will head over to Photoshop, where I'm going to edit the image. So I'm just going to right click right here, and I'm just going to say edit in Photoshop, and then we're going to go to Photoshop. So here we are in the world of Photoshop, and this is the image. I must say that the image looks good already. You just want to take away probably some imperfection, and just to make it accentuate the good part. Like I always say, the most important thing is to make sure you get your pictures right in post. When you're taking your pictures, you need to make sure you take a good picture first of all. Then editing becomes a lot easier. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because otherwise you'll spend a long time editing one image. You could have spent half of that time editing that particular image. So I always try to put in extra effort to make sure I get my pictures right in post. So here we are. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I use this plugin, and what this plugin does is that it helps you to even your skin tone, especially when your skin tone is all over the places. Like for instance, now look at, we have this, like this dark part, we have some of this area, there's a lot of imperfection in there. This skin tone, this plugin will help to correct that. It's a good plugin that I have. It's just to help my workflow, and anything that will help your workflow these days and to reduce your time editing, I think it's a welcome thing, as long as it doesn't make you more lazy and you don't want to do anything. For me, I welcome things that could improve what you're doing, but you still have to put in your effort. So what I'm going to do right now is take these two right here, and I'm just going to select some part of the face. I'm going to select some part of the face. Especially, you need to select both some shadows and highlight within the particular face. So let's click on that. So once you click on that, is gonna give you this panel. I mainly work with this. You can work with that one as well, but they're all the same. So what I'm gonna do is that I want to remove some of the colors that looks odd. So I can see that this one is a bit odd. I'll hold down the option key and click on that to create X, and also maybe another one like this that varies a lot. Maybe I think it's good. I'm going to remove that as well, and now I just click on it. Now it's all gone. So what I just need to do right now is to come here and click on just click on Command I, make sure it's there, and I'm going to take my brush, and what I'm going to do right now is use my brush here and I'm going to look at my flow. Now I don't want it to be too much, so what I'm going to do is, let's see how it goes around 50% or like that. Okay, so I will start painting on areas that I feel needs a lot of improvement. So let me just go maybe a bit more. Okay, so under this I can see here, so I'm just working on that. Now I hope you guys can see that there is a difference right now from what we have before. I will show you guys the before and the after here. So let's see the before and the after. You guys might not see it in full scale, but that place was different before, but there's a change in there. And I will come to the other side as well and just paint. I'm thinking that's too much. I think what I'm going to do is to reduce the flow, maybe by, let's say, 50%, and just paint over that. I think that looks more realistic. You don't want to go overboard, and you don't want to make everything so drastic. So I'm going to paint on these ones as well, and here as well. And all we are doing is just improving the image. And if I need to bring it down, I'm going to do that here, and which I can do that way. And I think it's all good right there. And I can come here as well and just make sure that just prove that. And so what I can do now is just maybe to apply the change over the whole face and just make sure that it doesn't spill on certain parts of the face. So all I'm just doing is using my brush to paint all over the face. And this might not seem like a big deal, but it's making a big difference. Compared to what we started with in terms of this particular image. The colors have changed a little bit, and I'll be able to do the before and the after very soon. So yeah, and sometimes I will need to fast forward some parts in order to save time. So yeah, so that's all I was doing, just painting. So I'm just gonna paint now. So I feel like I'm happy with what I have now. I'm gonna paint through that here as well. I feel like that's good. I'm gonna come down to the neck and make sure that they all have the same color. So we don't want it to split over the dress. Okay, it will be a color cast, and I think I'm happy with what we have now. Just to check, there might be some spilling here. I just want to take care of somewhere around here. Yeah, I think that is pretty good now. We have something to work with. I'm just gonna take care of the spilling here as well. And okay, we are good. So let me take back my brush and just make sure the last part. Okay, so the next thing then I would do right now is to now do some cleanup, do some healing, like this spot, take them away. What I would do right there is create a new layer completely. And so that's a new layer that I have there. I'll just name that one healing. And let me just name it healing. Right, so I'm gonna click enter. So what I'm gonna do right now is take I would like to use, let me try and use clone stamp tool. I mean, you can use event tool for this. And here we go. So let's see if it did work well. Sometimes no, that's too much. What I'm gonna do is, let me go back and use the healing brush. So this is the healing brush. I think that's a bit better. Yeah, this one is a bit better than the other one. So yeah, so I'm just gonna use this one. Just taking out the spot the way. It's too big. Let me bring it down. Okay. And I'll just keep doing yeah, so I think that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Yeah, I think overall I'm happy with that. Okay, right, this is all just cleaning up. So any parts that I already show you guys what I'm doing, then what I did do is that I can then fast forward that particular part just to save time. Otherwise we can be here for 1 hour or 1 hour plus. So I think I'm happy with that. What I can then do is I still feel like I can make that place better, especially this one. So let me try one more trick. Just make this one bigger and see the skin tone. Okay, I think I like it that way. It looks better, but I want to get rid of this or the line on the neck. I need to use another tool, but let's see what we got here. This one is working. It's not perfect, but it works. So we are going to do some frequency separation after this, so that's why I'm not worried. I should be able to flatten up some of this part. So yeah, just trying to remove that line. So let me just go back, undo. Yeah, I think I'm happy with the face. I can come here as well and just remove the and also it's good to zoom out sometimes, because now I'm too zoomed in. And so let me just zoom out a little bit. Right, I think that's pretty much okay. So what I'm then gonna do next right now is to do frequency separation. Now I'm gonna be using this 16 bits, right? And that, so we have 2 layers in there. Just gonna check. This also is a try and error. You need to make sure you select the right. So I'm just gonna take it to about, I would say maybe 14, or let me bring it down a bit. I think about 14 might be good. Let's try 14. So I'm gonna use a lower frequency separation. This time around, I'll use a mixer brush. So that's a mixer brush there. And all I'll do right now is to paint. But when you're painting, you need to avoid anywhere that looks maybe not quite, maybe a lighter place, you need to paint them together. The darker place, paint them together, because if you just paint everything together, and it will start mixing. So that's why I call mixer brush. So what I mean is that, like, I can see that there's a highlight on this side here, so I'm just gonna paint. All we are doing is that we are smoothing the skin, but this one allows us to have texture. It's not those kind of smoothing that you will not be able to recognize the person, or the person looks absolutely different from the person that you know, and you're like, you know, this one will maintain texture, and the reality is that that's how you should. But I do understand that some clients in some regions or in some places prefer when everything is smooth, everything is, you know, like that. So yeah, so but generally as a professional, you don't want to do that. But if that's what your client wants, then obviously by no means you need to make sure you do what they want. So now there are plugins that you can also get that can help you do all this one, but for me, you know, it is also, it's good. It's like learning an automatic, using an automatic car. It's always good to know how to use manual. I mean, then you can jump to automatic, you know, so it just gives you an advantage, you know, how to do this, because then if you ever get stuck or something happened to even the plugin that you're using, maybe you couldn't use it. I mean, there should be something that you can fall to. If you don't know how to do it at all, then you're stuck. You are stuck, and completely. So for me, I think learning how to do this is very important, to not just for editing but for your growth as a photographer, and also to pass the knowledge to other people as well. So I think let's see the before and the after. Here's the before and here is the after. It's just a subtle change. It's not something overboard, too much. The old skin is gone. We can't even recognize the person anymore. It's still the same photo. It's still the same person, but we are getting there, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. Now, the next thing I want to do before I finish that, I still need to paint. Let me just paint brush the neck as well, still using the same, applying the same technique, and that's it. I think for the purpose of this, you guys get the concept. Any area that you want to do more, just and the reason why I like to use pen, I'm using pen to brush now, because you can use your mouse. Pen just allow you to also manage your pressure, because the more pressure you apply, the flatter they will be, and I don't want this image to change too much. Right, so now I'm done with that. What I then want to do now next is to work on the eyes. Right, I want to work on the eyes. I want to accentuate the eyes. Now let me what I'm going to do is, and let me zoom it in. You can see that the eyes already comes in. There's some kicker light in the eyes, and that is showing the the beauty of the eyes is coming through, because there's some kicker light. Now you guys can even see the light I'm using right here. I'm using the base softbox on the other side. So I have another action for the eyes to make the eye pop. I have another action for that. So what I'm going to do is just look for that particular action, and it's right here. So I'm just going to click on that, and the first thing is to remove the vein in the eye, and I'm going to use this alien brush, bring it here, just reduce it a little bit more, hold down the option key, and then select from this area, then remove the vein. Yeah, and that's, you just have to be patient. Bring it lower as well, and just clean this side. And I think this one is done here, and I'll move to the second eye ray and try to remove the veins as well. Now you don't want to, sometimes it's not good to remove everything, because it will look unnatural, it will look fake. So the more you make your image realistic, the difference between you and just somebody who is just an amateur, between a professional and just an amateur, these are the differences. You want somebody to look at the image and still think, this is me. They can recognize themselves. People can recognize them in the image. So I think I'm fine with this right here. Let me see more. I think that's good. Let's zoom out. We need to zoom out and see what we've done. I think that's pretty much okay. Let's do the before and the after. Okay, so let's do before and the after. Right, okay, now the next thing to do is to click. I will just keep clicking. This one is just to accentuate the kicker light. I'm going to bring this opacity, the flow down to about 3, and bring down the brush. My brush is always, the hardness always at 0, because right, so the kicker light, I'm just gonna make it brighter. It's just subtle changes. You don't want something drastic, and I'm happy with that. Then click it again, dab light, so it's opposite of the kicker light. I'm just gonna work on that, and the same thing around here, and click again, and that kicker, I'm gonna just work on that one, and that, and now paint the eyes. I'm just going to drag it to 1 and just softly paint white inside the eyes. Also, we don't want to make it too much. Let me just reduce the brush there to allow me go in there, right? And we do the same thing here and just paint it softly. Just get it in there, right? And I'm happy with what I have done so far. Okay, so then I go again. Now I want to paint on the iris. So what I'm going to do is just to increase the flow to that, and I'm going to now paint on the. I actually have 2 actions for, especially for editing the eyes. I have 2 actions because the eyes is very important, especially when you're editing and when you come across people with beautiful eyes like my eyes. I'm happy by it. So I'm just, there's some color cast right now, spilling the colors, so I'm just gonna take that out now. So I'm just gonna paint that out, right? And then the same here, just take those things out. Okay, so the next is I'm just gonna put Command J to do that, and then come down here. So the next thing, I'm gonna click again, and just to create some sharpness within the eyes, I'm gonna bring the flow down to about 1 and just paint on the eyes like that. I think I'm happy with that now. And then I can paint on the iris as well, doing the same thing. Not too much, just a subtle one. And I think I'm done with that. Now I have a second action, like I said, so I'm going to go up and use my second one. So this is the second one, and I'm just going to, first of all, I'll just use 2 of them. This one I'm going to work on, that's too much. I'm going to just bring the flow down to about maybe 3, and just paint that. And then this, I'm gonna do the same, and just making sure that it's not done, it's not overdone. So okay, now I'm just gonna do the edges down just to make it more, to pop more. So I'm just gonna work on the edges of the just okay, all right, a little bit good. So this one requires some concentration to get it right, and let's do that again, just on the edges. Now these are all subtle changes, but when you see the final product, they all come together. So let's do the before and the after now. Before and the after. Now I'm going to zoom out, and you guys can see that it looks much better than it was before, just to bring out the color more. And right now, the picture as it is right now is looking great, it's looking good. I think I'm happy with the way it is right now, and it is not that much different from the person that we started with, the face that we started with. So all I'll be doing with this last part is just I could do some dodge and burn, but I do feel like, you know, this image is good. I don't want to go through dodge and burn again. So what I'm gonna do, sometimes I'm gonna use my curve. Let me just use my curves adjustment. I'm gonna come through this curve just to bring down, and I think that's not too much, right? I like that as it is looking now. It's looking beautiful, and I just have some, it's already sharp, the image is sharp and it's looking good, but I can add some sharpness to it if I want, make it more sharper. I think I don't want to go overboard with that, and I'm just gonna bring the contrast more a little bit. Now I think I'm okay with that. And then I come down here, I have some, just to accentuate the colors as well. It's too much, and I'm just gonna bring the opacity down to about maybe 11, 12. Yeah, so I see that. I'm just gonna maybe bring it down a bit more, maybe about 15. Yes, so I'm happy with the image right now, and I will say that this is good, and this is at the point that I will stop. I mean, I could do some other things to it, but it looks good to me, it looks perfect to me, and I like the final edited image right here. So that is the whole process. So the final part I would do is normally I will export this image and to use it like I want to use it. So let me show you the other pictures from especially the international passport. So here is the one that basically we took for the international passport, and these are just the fun photos we took afterwards. And yes, so these are just the other ones that we took as well, and this is the one I just edited right now. So that is in my entire workflow of editing these particular headshot for headshot, for your profile, for your social media, and I think it looks good. So let me know what you think about this particular image. Let's head over and to finish up this review. And that is the final edited image. What are you waiting for? I guess you should start creating. It's not as difficult as you might see it. It's just depending on your workflow. You need to first of all organize yourself. Look for a workflow, something that works for you, and look for tools that will help you minimize the amount of time that you are spending on editing. And I think with that in place, you should be able to get better images and also spend less time editing. Well, what are you waiting for? Start creating. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye-bye.